Hi there.
Live stream is on.
Is it already? Great. Oh, lovely. Well, Warren's on, isn't he, tonight? Somewhere? No? Oh. I don't think there is a good way to know from here. So that's a good question. Yeah, I'm not positive. I guess one of us could go check during a song. Maybe 10, 15 minutes in.
Well, they said they'd be here shortly.
Okay. I think I moved the folder for you down. Folder for announcements this week. We've got some Thorntons? Nice. Hi there. Welcome, y'all. It's great. I'm so glad you're here. Thanks for coming. Sarah, do we have announcements for today? Did those come out in the end? Beanie on the beam. I just cleared the irrelevant stuff out of there.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I think I know a few things.
Okay.
Just talking to Amber, so.
Okie dokie.
I'll do it from what I actually remember.
Cool.
Sit in the center would be really nice because then we won't be turning the whole time. How are you guys doing after a day of preparations? Yeah? Good. You're still smiling. That's great. Oh, good. I'm so glad. This was the shape of our day so far. We did a funeral for Barry Roseman. Very special person, a very special funeral, but that was the shape of our day. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, the live stream is currently on, and we are up and running.
That's nice. We're also, we've got folks on video. We don't know who or how many, but we believe there are people out there. That's the main thing. It really stretches belief. Like, there are, in fact, these people. We're doing it partly for them. Tonight, I don't have to believe it. I can see you. It's very nice. I've been struggling with that. So, Hannah, happy Bat Mitzvah weekend. And Jennifer and Tim, mazel tov to you too. It's great to have you guys here. Rachel, soon by you. We're so glad to see you. It's great to end the week with this singing, And we start on page 10.
Yedi nefesh avarachman meshochav el retzona yarutz avdach kimo hayam yishtachaveh el mul hadara.
Good Shabbos. L'chuna Ranana says, "Come, let us sing out, let us trumpet praise to our God who protects us." It's a beautiful song. We're there on page 11.
L'chuna Ranana l'Adonai Naria l'tzor yishenu Nekad ma'afana b'toda b'zmirot Naria lo yai dai 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 Vehem lo yadu derachai asher nishbati ve'api im yevo'un el menuchati yadadai
Beautiful, Sarah. Beautiful. If only they would enter my rest. That is the task of Shabbos. Seems a little strange to say after 2 whole weeks of resting and after all this time at home, you really have to ask yourself on a Shabbos, after all this, quarantine, what makes Shabbos different? It's not just the fact of being home, because that by now is old hat. Yes, we've all been at home for a very long time. So you have to look for different aspects, right? It isn't just the fact of your place. You have to go a little deeper, right? It's a quality of soul. It's a quality of thinking differently, or maybe connecting with each other differently, because we've seen plenty of each other, maybe too much. The question is, what can we do that will make today special? In search of this, on Passover day 8, I took us outside for a picnic. And we discovered a part of our yard that we never really spent any time in. And for the first time, we sat there and we had a meal in the sunlight, picnic lunch, and it was perfect. And somehow we hadn't gotten out there in like a year and a half, right? So there's always nooks and crannies to be discovered if we're looking for it. And that's part of the beauty of the holiday and indeed of this whole season, to look for how can we amp up our joy together as a family in special, if surprising ways. 13.
Shiru
Ladonai, Shir Hadash, Shiru Ladonai, Kol Haaretz, Shiru Ladonai, Baruch Shemo, Asru Miyom Le'yom Yeshuato, Sapru Vagoyim, Yevodo, Bechol Ha'amim Niflotav, Ki Gadol Adonai, Olam Me'od, Norahu, Wow, Elohim, Ay, Kol Elohei Ha'amim Elohim, Ba'adonai Shamayim Asa, Odeh Hadar Lefanam, Tiferet Mikdasho, Avul Adonai Mishpechot Amim, Avul Adonai Kavod Va'oz, Avul Adonai Kevod Shemo, Seyo Minha, Volech Atzrota. 14. Ishtachavu l'Adonai v'hadra kodesh v'lu mipanov kol haaretz imru v'goyim Adonai malach aftikon tevel baltimon yadinamim be'mei sharim yismehu hashamayim v'tagil haaretz yiramaya. Adonai kiva, kiva, lishpot haaretz, lishpot tevel be'tzedek, be'amim be'emunato, anai, na 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 na, ay ay of the more striking features of these psalms we're singing is that they tend to conclude with the idea of divine justice being brought to the world, but most of the psalm tend to have to do with like how all of creation praises God. Those are two quite different themes. That nature already praises God, and that at some point there will be a fullness of God's plan for humans. And it's something that my drash will touch on tonight. I just want you to notice that theme in the psalm that we just had, where we concluded with the lines, even the trees of the forest will sing praise to Adonai as he comes to judge the earth, judging the lands with righteousness and the peoples with divine truth or divine faithfulness. It's two very different aspects that are brought together in that psalm, as with many of them. Let's conclude with the four final verses of on page 16. Or Zeru ala tzaddik, a light is hidden up for the righteous.
Bum biddy bum bum biddy bum bum biddy dum 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 bum biddy bum 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 bum biddy da da da. Orzaru ala tzadik ulishrei lev simcha. Orzaru ala tzadik ulishrei lev simcha. Bum biddy dum 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 bum bum.
Turn with me over to page 21, Psalm 29, and please rise. This one, we move around, dance a little bit.
Mizmor leDavid, havu Adonai be'elim, havu Adonai kavod va'oz, havu Adonai kevod shemo isham, havu Adonai adrak kodesh, kol Adonai al hamayim el hakavod hirim, Adonai al mayim rabim, kol Adonai ba'koach, kol Adonai behadar, kol Adonai shover arazim, Shaber Adonai et arnei alvanon vayarkidem kmo egel Levanon Vesiryon Kimo ben reimim bai kol Adonai letzev lehavoseish kol Adonai Yachil midbar, Yachil Adonai midbar kadesh, Kol Adonai Yeholel hayalot, Vayecheso Yedarot, Oeichalo, Kulo Omer Kavod, Hai Adonai Lama Yashal Yeshiv Adonai Melech Leolam, Adonai Oz Le'amo Yitein, Adonai Yevarech et Amo Vashalom. Ay, 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 ay. You may be seated.
I pose a kasha on that psalm. It's a strange thing that it ends with a reference to the flood. God sits enthroned above the flood waters, right, above the Mabul. It's such a strange line. I often have a hard time singing it with this similar enthusiasm that we sing the rest of the song. The rest of the song is quite happy, uplifting. And then you have the flood. It's a strange thing, right? Why the flood? Why that story at all? And hopefully we'll touch a little bit on that, what we're about to say. For now, turn to the Chadodi, page 23.
Lechadodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela, shamor v'zahor, v'dibor echad yishmi'anu, elam meyuchad Adonai echad, u'shemo echad l'shem multifer, v'heletila lechadodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela, likrat Shabbat uvenel chakim ekor, haberach hamerosh mikeden, nesu v'asov maseh, b'machshava tefila lechadodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela, mikdash melech, Ir melucha kumitzei mitoch hafet harav lachshevet yemek abacha uyachamo alaychem lechadodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela 24 Hibnari me'afarkumi livshi bigdei partechamil al yad ben ishayim ve'el Allah korba el nashi nashige Allah lechadodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela hitoreri kivaore kumi ori shir beri vod Adonai Allah nigla Lechadodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela, lechadodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lo tevoshi velo tikami, vatishtochachi umatemi, vachechesu aniye ami venivneta iratila
lechadodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela lechadodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela.
והיולים ששושייך ורחקו כל מבלייך יסיס עלייך אלוהייך כמסוס הדן על כלה
Adodi
likrat kala
b'nei Shabbat nekabela lechadodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela.
ימין ושמאל תפרוצי, ואת אדוני תעריצי. אל יד איש בין פרצי, ונשמחה
ונגילה lechadodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lechadodi
בשלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובטובה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה, בואי כלה, בואי כלה, לך דודי, לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי, לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה.
You may be seated. Turn over with me to page 28, 4 lines from the bottom. Speaks there of an older person, saying, even in old age, these righteous ones remain fruitful, still fresh and bountiful, proclaiming Adonai is upright, my rock in whom there is no flaw.
עוד ינובון בשיבה, דשנים ורעננים יהיו, להגיד כי ישר אדוני צורי ולא עוולה תבוא.
Page 29, 3 lines from the bottom, Edotecha Ne'emnu Me'od. In this your house, beautiful in its holiness, your testimonies endure, Adonai, for all time.
עדותך נאמנו מאוד, לביתך נאווה קודש. אדוני לאורך ימים, אדוני לאורך ימים.
That's beautiful, Sarah. Thank you. In lieu of Kaddish tonight, without a minyan, we'll do Psalm 23. You can find it on page 233. We just said it out at the graveside. We use it at most funerals, and also at the close of Shabbat. We use it for a sense of loss. And as you remember those that are dear to us, I'd like us to become familiar with using this psalm as well. We'll do the Hebrew together. Mizmor LeDavid, Adonai roi lo echsar, binot deshe yarbitzeni, al mei menuchot yenahaleni, nafshi yeshovev, yancheni v'mag letzedek leman shemo, gam ki elech begeitz al mavet lo irara, ki ata imadi. Shivtecha umishantecha hema yenachamuni, ta'aroch lefanai shulchan neged zorerai. Dishanta v'Hashem en roshi, kosi revaya, ach tov v'chesed yirdefuni kol yemei chayai, v'shavti beveit Adonai leorech yamim. All right, before we continue to the blessings before the Shema, I want to share a thought about this week's Parsha. In this week's Parsha, we get back after a bit of a hiatus for Passover to the story of the Mishkan. And it's titled Shemini because it begins with, on the 8th day, Aaron and his sons presented themselves and came to take up their positions of leadership. And it strikes me that they're approaching the Mishkan after a week of preparation. And this week of Passover, I think, when everyone was required to be at home, we all sort of experienced a week of what felt like preparing and waiting, certainly in your family, waiting for the bat mitzvah, but for everyone, waiting for what? Do you ever feel during a Jewish holiday like you're kind of waiting around? There's something big or important you're probably waiting for. What is it? Well, it's probably the 8th day, first because that's the last day. But that's not the only reason that you're waiting for the 8th day, and I want to elucidate the 8th day a little bit more. In our Parsha, the key moment comes, right, and Moses invites Aaron and his sons to come up and to take their key role, and then on the 8th day, he consecrates them. The 8th day is no surprise. It's riffing on the first week that we saw in the Torah, which is the week of creation. It's the day when the week starts again. And that means something very specific. Just thinking about the days, right? In the first day, God creates light. In the 6th day, God creates humans. And if he had a sort of nearly perfectly ordered universe when there was just light, sort of radiating out from whatever initial point that was about, when he creates humans, he really invited a lot of chaos into the world. As God will shortly discover, when you make beings a lot like yourself, or as parents discover, and you give them all the freedom to be creative and go make things on their own, frequently chaos ensues. And so, in fact, it does in that story. And then, the 8th day comes after Shabbos, and they start all over again. By now, God should really know better, right? But, well, what do we do at the juncture between the end of Shabbat and the 8th day? What's that special thing called that we do in between Shabbat and the next week? Havdalah, Jennifer says. Absolutely. And one of the more striking things we do in Havdalah is we light a candle, we produce fire, the thing we were not allowed to do on Shabbat. That's one reason we do it. It marks that we're done with the Shabbat part. But fire seems almost too important to simply be about just, now we're doing something we couldn't do before to show there's fire. One of the few times we stand around and sing and do a Jewish ritual that focuses so much on fire, anymore, anyway. And fire also has in it the ability to destroy, a little bit like the ability that God gave humans on day 6. Along with that capacity to create, like God did, he really made little co-creators, little co-organizers, people who could also divide between things, right? God had been busy dividing the waters above and the waters below and all sorts of things. He said humans should divide things as well, right? The gift of human language, in fact, helps us distinguish between this thing and that thing. And in fact, we can divide our world in lots of different and useful ways. Or we could use that ability to divide also to destroy. Almost every aspect of our creative and godlike capacities could be used for life, or they could be used for ill or for harm. Well, the single boundary that God gave those original humans, right, don't eat from this tree, they, of course, passed over, right? This is what the word to be over means. You pass over it. You transgress. It's a goofy translation. You don't respect the boundary, is what that word means, and the boundaries that God had created within the universe. But at the end of the week, at the end of day 7, we create a special boundary, a Havdalah boundary, and say, okay, that week is done. Now we're starting with week 1 all over again. We, in some sense, continued counting the divine time the same way that God did. And we do it with a light, but a light that's very different from the light of day 1, right? The light of day 1 was boom. I don't quite know what that light was. It wasn't the light of the sun, because that'll come later in day 4. Some primordial light. And then we make a little fire, human-made light, which is really what fire is. It's light that we can control. We can even generate it, which is kind of cool. And so we have a multi-wicked candle burning brighter than most of our candles, right? Think about the capacity for humans to make fire in the story of Prometheus, right? The gods did not want Prometheus to make that fire. In fact, they punished him horrifically, right? Tied him up on that rock and punished him for trying to bring the human capacity to make things using fire to a sort of pitiful end. Of course, that didn't stop humans. They continued, and they were just in a fight with the gods. Very different, the story of the initial story, according to the rabbis, about how fire is introduced to humankind. So perhaps riffing on Prometheus's legend, but disagreeing with it, the rabbis told a story that at the end of Shabbat, Adam or at the end of the first week, Adam was really just being a baby in the world with very little experience, was very, very worried that darkness was coming. And so to comfort God showed him fire. To comfort him, God showed him fire. So he could see by it, and he could be warmed by it. And that still in commemoration of God giving away fire to Adam, we make the fire of Havdalah. That's a very different story, a very different approach to human creativity. Fundamentally, in the rabbinic imagination, God wants us to be creative and to make things, and knows that we'll be able to destroy things along with it, and nonetheless gives that capacity to us. There's at least two things that we see there. God does, yes, want us to keep the boundaries that he sets up, right? Don't eat from this tree, and they get punished for that. But not don't create things, not don't do the very thing that you've been designed to do, be like God and go make new things and use fire to make new things. So on one hand, God wants us both to respect the order we find in the world and to go make a totally new order at the same time. That, I want to suggest, is the meaning of day 8. Unlike day 1, where God, on God's own, says, let there be light. Boom, there's light in the universe now. There's this incredible radiating energy, which is probably the source of everything. And then on the other hand, human creation. Pretty small by comparison. It's a candle, after all. You got a couple candle watts there. But it is something very special in kind because a consciousness other than God's crafted it, made that candle, in fact, and can bring its light into the world. Day 8 is special because it's not just God by God's self. It's not just the overwhelming power that gave us the universe. It's humans acting in concert together with God. It's actually beautiful because it's so small. Beautiful because it seems so maybe irrelevant, but actually requires us to be cooperating to do it. I want to suggest that all of that is exactly what's happening with the Mishkan. The Mishkan is designed to create in miniature the cosmos, to be a kind of second creation story. This time created by humans, but a place where God is able to routinely come close to human beings. And I want to suggest that that stuff that we're reading right now in the Torah and that Hannah will read tomorrow morning has a lot to do with growing up and becoming a teenager, becoming a bat mitzvah. And that's because your parents knew when they created you, Hannah, that you would grow up and be creative and have the power to create or destroy, just like they do. To create new things, beautiful new things. And they had you anyway. They took a risk, very much like God did in creating humans. And frequently that didn't go so well for God, so he wiped it out one time with the flood. Right? And said, no, not so great. Humans actually tend to be the ultimate source of most of the disorder in the world. Just something worth keeping in mind as we come to Yom HaShoah this coming week as well, that the show is fundamentally a human-caused kind of evil, different from, say, sorts of evil you see in earthquakes or terrible storms that take lives. But some of the worst kinds of evil come from humans, and some of the most beautiful sorts of things that can be created in the world also come from humans. There's this massive range of what we can actually do with our freedom and our creativity. But every time we make a new child and every time we set them free and say, you know what, they're now their own person, they're becoming an adult, they're becoming their own creative, fire-carrying person with their own power in the world, we are also partners with God in that moment in a beautiful and special way. And we, I think, can come closer to understanding what it is to be God from the inside out, from our own experience. So I want to bless you, Hannah, that you should bring great beauty into the world, that you should increase its orderliness with a vision much like that of God to safeguard the dignity of each of the people within it, that you would bring holiness into it, which is also an aspect of that order, separating between holy and common, as you'll read tomorrow in your Aliyah. And I want to remind us as we head into, all of us, as we head into Yom HaShoah this coming week, that even in the midst of what is the greatest darkness and the greatest night or greatest chaos that may come out of the humanly created world order, our task is always simply to bring order and to make light. Shabbat Shalom.
I'd love to invite Hannah up to the bima to join me in leading
Mariv. We'll start on page 41, right?
Let's see. 39, actually, right after the Baruch Hu. At the Baruch Atah Hashem. So page 39 there, the first blessing before the Shema.
Umavir yom umevi laila umavdil ben yom uvein laila Adonai tzivot shemo El chai v'kayam tamidim l'chaleinu le'olam va'ed Baruch atah Adonai ha'ma'ariv ha'aravim.
Page 40.
Ahavat olam beit Yisrael am ha'avta Torah u'mitzvot chukim u'mishpatim otanu limadeta Al kein Adonai Eloheinu b'shofeinu u'vekumeinu nasiach b'chukecha ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו ואורך ימינו ובהם נהגה יומם ולילה יומם ולילה. Avat chal tasim imenu leolamim. Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha. בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לפניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ושוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם מאוד על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך.
למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי
הייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם אלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם אדוני אלוהיכם אמך אמונה הכל זאת וקיים עלינו שם נפשנו בחיים ונתן למות רגלינו. Page 44.
ומלכותו ורצון קיבלו עליהם משה ומרים ובני ישראל לכהנו שירה בשמחה רבה ואמרו לה יא ילנאי נאי ילנאי נאי ילנאי נאי ay nay 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 ay nay 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 nay
kamocha ba'elim Adonai. Mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh. Mi kamocha ba'elim Adonai. Mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh. Nora te'ilot osei fele. Nora te'ilot osei fele. Yimloch le'olam bo'ed. Ne'emar ki fada Adonai Yaakov gelo mi'at chazak mimenu. Baruch atah Adonai al Yisrael. Ay Adonai, nay Adonai, nay 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 nay. Ay Adonai, nay Adonai, nay nay nay. Ay Adonai, ay Adonai, nay Adonai, nay nay. Ay Adonai, nay Adonai, nay nay nay. Ashkivenu is on page 45.
Hashivenu Adonai,
Eloheinu leshalom, Amideinu malkeinu,
spread the shelter of your peace over us. Guide us in wisdom, compassion, and trust.
Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, Amideinu malkeinu,
Save us for the sake of your name. Shield us from hatred, sorrow, and pain. Hashivenu
Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, Amideinu malkeinu, lechaim, lechaim. Baruch atah Adonai, haporesh sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. Please rise, page 46.
Shamru
B'nei Yisrael, et ha-Shabbat, la'asod et ha-Shabbat, le'dorotam be'rid olam.
Beini Yisrael, Oti Leolam,
Oti le'olam, v'shamru b'nei Yisrael, et ha-Shabbat, la'asod et ha-Shabbat, le'dorotam be'rid olam.
Ki shezer yamim asa Adonai,
Asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et ha'aretz, v'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asod et ha-Shabbat, le'dorotam be'rid olam.
Vayom Hashmi'i,
Shabbat vayinafash,
Shabbat Vayinafash,
Shabbat vayinafash, v'shamru b'nei Yisrael, et ha-Shabbat, la'asod et ha-Shabbat, le'dorotam be'rid olam. Shkoyach. We'll go straight to the Amidah on page 47. If you're praying at home, the Mariv Amidah is silent, so you can start straight away. Continue on page 53.
Shalom.
Boom.
Shalom. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. Oh, say shalom.
Bring it, Rachel.
May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. Oh, say shalom. Bim Ramah. Oh, say shalom.
We continue on 53. We'll just be saying the first paragraph, but please rise. ויכלו השמיים והארץ וכל צבאם, ויכול אלוהים ביום השביעי מלאכתו אשר עשה, וישבות ביום השביעי מכל מלאכתו אשר עשה, ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי, ויקדש אותו, כי בו שבת מכל מלאכתו אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות. And we continue with the Kiddush on page 55.
Baruch atah Adonai.
Family, do you want to join? Let's raise that glass up nice and high.
Okay.
It's grape juice, I'm pretty sure.
So do we just start? Or?
Yeah, you started.
Yeah, okay. Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher yishanu b'mitzvotav v'rata banu, b'shabbat kodsho v'ahabarto ichilanu, zikra l'maseh b'reishit. Yom tefillah lemikra kodesh zecher l'siyam Mitzrayim kivanu lacharta kiltanu kidashta mikol amim v'shabbat kodesh v'ahava l'rasa v'imchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai, mikadesh hashabbat. Amen.
Thank you, Thorntons.
Oh, real stuff?
Thorntons. Thank you. Are we dismissed? You are dismissed.
Here you go. Dismissed.
No, you're staying.
Okay. What page am I?
Sleep it going on. We are continuing with Aleinu on whatever page Aleinu is on.
Very helpful, Sarah.
Yes. Oh,
Do you happen to know which page that is on?
56.
Okay.
Please stay risen. All right.
Aleinu
l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'tekidu l'leotzei breshit, shelo asanu kigoyei haratzot, v'lo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, v'goralenu kechol hamonam, v'anachnu korim, umishtachavim umodim, lifnei melech machei hamlachim, hakadosh baruch hu. Perpetu b'toratecha, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed, v'ne'emar, v'haya Adonai, le'melech al kol ha'aretz, bayom ha'hu, yeh Adonai echad, u'shemo, You may be seated. The rabbi went to look for some announcements. Rabbi Stephen, please come back.
I currently do not have the list of yahrzeit, the yahrzeit list, and the rabbi walked away momentarily. But if you would please join me in saying a kavanah for the Kaddish on page 58, the blessing of memory. It is hard to sing of oneness when our world is not complete, when those who once brought wholeness to our life have gone, and nothing but memory can fill the emptiness their passing leaves behind. But memory can tell us only what we were in company with those we loved. It cannot help us find what each of us alone must now become. Yet no one is really alone. Those who live no more echo still within our thoughts and words, and what they did is part of what we have become. We do best homage to our dead when we live our lives most fully, even in the shadow of our loss. Each life is a whole world, in each is the breath of the divine. In affirming God, we affirm the worth of each one whose life now ended brought us closer to the source of life, in whose unity no one is alone, and every life finds purpose. Okie dokie. I did a kavanah for the Kaddish just in time for you to read the list of names for Kaddish.
No list. That's what I was looking for.
Okay.
Unless it's under that book.
It might be.
Look at that.
Well, how about that? He's here this whole time. We all have fun.
Yeah, because all services are here. Yeah, all right, very good. If you'll turn back to page 233, you can find the psalm that will say in people's honor. At Temple Bethel, we remember the following yahrzeits this week. Ida Abrams, Nathan Azrin, Harmon Berger, Alfred Buchalter, Marilyn Crane, Sarah Gettinger, Sam Klotzman, Folly Marcus, Andrew Neat, Per Mitten, Alex Rittenbaum. Archie Rosenthal, Cecile Sundock, Steve Browdy, Morris Fisher, Marvin Rich, Edith Rabinovich, Moses Robbins, Elsie Siskin, Peter Tuchansky, Isaac Torm. Ike Abelson, Joyce Benjamin, Etta Danis, Ann Elder, Michael Epstein, Carl Friedman, Abe Pizitz, Morris Silverfield, Harold Weisner, Warren Axelroth, Abraham Blatt, Francis Copeland, Lee Harris, Bessie Kirshner, Blanche McCrossan, Isidore Newman, Sanford Reitman, Jerome Schwartz, Maurice Schwartz, Bernard Trachtman, Seymour Barnes, Albert Goldforb, Nechama Guberman, Carl Levy, Harry Ravitz, Bobby Tuck, Harold Bruchus, Abraham Cohen, David Glick, Sam Michelson, Carl Schultz, T. Sternklar, Rebecca Witt, Paul Ronald Yannick, Barney Bonfield, B. Domovsky, Aaron Dombrow, Ruben Lipsitz, Morris Tenenbaum, and Asya Udler, Bert Bloomston. And we want to also mention that our heartfelt condolences and wishes for their comfort go out to the family of Barry Roseman, a member of ours, particularly to Scott and to Evan, and to Fern and Ken Shinbaum, as well as others in the family. Also, J.B. Mazer, a member here at this time of their bereavement. And let's say Psalm 23 in their honor, page 233. A Psalm of David. Adonai is my shepherd, I shall not want. God lays me down in green pastures, leads me beside still waters, renews my life. Guides me in right paths, for that is God's way. Though I walk through a valley as dark as death, I would fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You would spread a table for me in the full view of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. Only goodness and steadfast love shall pursue me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of Adonai in the fullness of time. All right. This is the part where we normally have announcements. We're without a few pages tonight, which is why it's a little bit more difficult. But I believe that I can remember some of them, and you can probably remember some of them. And we'll try to get through announcements together that way. So, welcome back to normalcy post-Passover. Hey, you can eat bread again. That's normal. Post-Passover, I am happy to say that on Thursday at noon, we have our Beit Midrash studying Bob Dylan back again, and that's a Zoom class, so you can participate from the comfort of your own home. This week, we're studying his album Highway 61 and his Nobel Prize acceptance speech along the theme of prayer, and we're dedicating our study in honor of Barry Roseman, who was a member of the class who suggested that we study Bob Dylan and who passed today from cancer, and who will miss sorely. Other things that are new and that are happening this week include that you can eat all your chametz. This week is the week for remembering the Shoah. It's Yom HaShoah on Tuesday. Candles will be available here on Monday, 10 to 1, out here on the 21st Way side. That men's club provides. You can take them and light a candle at home in memory of the Shoah.
We have a bat mitzvah tomorrow. We actually get to read Torah for, I think, the first time in quite a while. We'll have just a minyan, so don't come, but
Yeah.
but
This is a stay away announcement.
this is by invite only. Very exclusive event, the most exclusive club. Only the Schnortens.
We believe we have precisely enough to make a minyan. Yeah, we're really excited about your bat mitzvah tomorrow, Hannah. It's going to be great, if very small.
I'm excited to see humans again.
Yeah, the not completely virtual service is kind of new and awesome, right?
For the last 2 weeks, it was just me and a guitar in here singing to nobody, and it was the weirdest thing.
Isn't it weird?
Yeah. I had to have Barry take screenshots of comments and send them to me through while I read them discreetly on the Bima. No, I didn't do that.
Yeah, it's pretty great to have in-person services, so that's new. Let's pray that that we're reaching the peak of infections in Alabama, and that once we start to see it fall, we can start to do some things again safely, very, very safely. Let's hope. So maybe that should come this week too. Is there anything else outstanding that's kind of obvious?
I can't think of anything.
Oh, stay tuned to Facebook, because Sarah's been crushing it on video over there. We have more social media engagement now than ever, and that makes sense. So don't miss what's going on Facebook. That's really where everything's happening. We're no longer a synagogue, we're just a Facebook page.
If you didn't get a chance, yesterday or Tuesday, I recorded a video for Yisker, which was scheduled to go live yesterday at 11. And if you didn't get a chance to see that, it is still up on our Facebook page. So when Shabbat is over, take a look.
Yeah. This is the nicest, shortest Yizkor you've ever been a part of, so you should check it out.
It is 6 minutes and 40 seconds long. It is very, very watchable.
It's pretty great, actually. So I think that sums it up for this week. Thank you. We'll conclude with Adon Olam on page 211.
You want to join me?
Yeah,
Rachel.
that'd be great. Are you helping? Well,
This is the dress rehearsal for tomorrow. 5, 6, 7.
Adon Olam asher mala
B'terem kol yitzir nivra le'et nasa v'chesoko azai melech shemo nikra v'yacharei kiflot hakol levado imov nora ve'hu haya ve'hu hove ve'hu yeh v'tifara ve'hu echad v'en sheni le'amshir lo le'achbira v'li'reishit le'itachlit ve'lo ha'oz ve'amisra Eli ve'chaygo eli ve'tzor chevli ve'etzara ve'unisi umanosli menat kosi ve'omekra ve'yado afkid ruchi me'ed ishan ve'avira ve'im ruchi geviati Adonai li Good Shabbos. Do we have a Kiddush, Sarah?
We did Kiddush.
Oh, you already did? Okay,
Yeah.
great. L'chaim.
They crushed it.
Nice. Good Shabbos indeed. Get some rest, y'all. We'll see you bright and early in the morning. You are so welcome. It's so nice to have people, real people. Too diminutive for that.
Like on the floor?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's too small for the floor. It's like a.
Too small for that.
It's just about this.
I got a picture of it. Can we put it in front of his vase? Would it look less small there? Or is it not going on the ground?
Well, it's kind of too small. Yeah.
I see.
Like somehow balance it on. Well, I thought about that. I was gonna, but I don't know that it would fit without falling. You can put it on the Torah stand.
On the second Torah stand? I think it would just look weird there.
Well, could you put that with a table in front of the Torah stand over here and put it on the whole thing?
Is that within the picture? I don't actually know if those tables make the picture or not. They may well. They may well. Yeah, you can put it on the table.
No, I mean, could we move the table in front and then put it on the,
Yeah, sure. Where would you move it?
right here, in front of the Torah stand?
Right here, like in the
No, no.
Not there.
She means like right
could I just
here.
To raise it. Yeah, that'd be fine.
It's just a little, it's super cute. All right.
Just let's do it before the service. I tend to be here about 10 this over there, and then put some smallish flowers on them. Good. So we have these cute things. This is kiddish stuff. Okay, answered it. Good. We're all ready to go with her.
Okay.
Her gift then. That's good. Yup. So that's the main thing. Yeah. Yeah, that's the main thing.
I can move the table now.
Absolutely.